the Irish guy, and Chelsea are appointing Leicester City's Enzo Maresca, and to me, this is the sort of brainless gamble that is going to spoil the entire Premier League for everyone. I mean, first of all, okay, look how fashionable it has suddenly become to be a championship-winning manager. I mean, look at the last 8 men to have achieved that lukewarm feat. Look at the sort of opportunities they were offered after that, counting all the way back to 2014. Right. Well, Bournemouth, Eddie Howe, eventually became the manager of the richest club in the world, where he has since coached in the Champions League. Burnley Shaw Dyche was eventually given an Everton job, and Everton, who recently had multiple Real Madrid managers at the wheel. I mean, Newcastle's Rafa Benitez became the 3rd best paid manager in the world on £12 million a year in China. I mean, Wolves' Nuno Santo replaced Jose Mourinho as Tottenham boss, and was soon also stuffed with millions of pounds out in the Saudi Pro League, where he got to manage Benzema. I mean, Norwich's double title-winning manager Daniel Farke was soon given the reins of Borussia Mönchengladbach, who had just been in the Champions League. Leeds United's Marcelo Bielsa is now manager of Uruguay. Fulham's Marco Silva was offered a ludicrous £40 million contract, which would have made him one of the best paid coaches in the world. And now Burnley's Vincent Kompany and Leicester's Enzo Maresca are about to take the reins of Bayern Munich and Chelsea. Just what on earth? Even Scott Parker only finished 2nd in the league and still got a Champions League job. To put this in glaring perspective, I mean, the recent championship title-winning managers before 2014, what were they all rewarded with? These ugly goofballs went on to be given weird jobs at OH Leuven, Ross County, Rotherham, Ghana, Apoel Nicosia, Jamshedpur, York City, Shanghai Shenhua. Need I go on? Over the last 10 years, it has been so in fashion on a worldwide scale to appoint championship-winning bosses. I mean, Christ, but Rafa Benitez is only 1 year out from lifting this lowly prize and has been offered the Spain job for an actual World Cup. Yes, Maresca has won the championship title in spectacular fashion, but so? I remember when Brian McDermott did that. You know, that old Reading boss who, yeah, you might think he looks like Arnie Slot with glasses, but all I see is the bald gremlin of Little Britain. He won the championship title with aplomb. He was also then given a top job at a London club, signing a contract with Arsenal. Was he the next managerial visionary? Now, he's currently director of football at Hibernian, and he's actually not even the most famous Brian McDermott in British sport. He's probably got less Instagram followers than the Brian McDermott who coaches Leeds Rhinos rugby team. Enzo Maresca sounds like a flash, sultry name that might appease Chelsea fans initially. I mean, it's got that mysterious, exotic twinge to it, like Xena Warrior Princess. This was a Spanish box-to-box midfielder who came through at AC Milan, trained alongside Zidane at Juventus. He scored 2 goals for Sevilla in a Europa League final win over Middlesbrough. He's played alongside football legends such as Ruud van Nistelrooy at Malaga. Yeah, that all sounds great on his LinkedIn page, but it's a bit less impressive if I tell you that he was once in the same Olympiacos dressing room as Matt Derbyshire. You know, that scruffy English striker who now probably works in a bookshop, slipping chunks of poo into every 2nd edition of Charlotte Crosby's autobiography. I mean, to be fair, anybody who buys that deserves that. Maresca also began his career at West Brom. That's definitely less slick, but lads, the most important part is focusing on Maresca the manager, and he's already tried this before. Yes, he worked as Guardiola's assistant, sure, but he's already gone out on his own once before, breaking away to join Parma in Serie B, and he dramatically failed. This was not just any random lowly Serie B club. Oh no. Now, this was a squad which had just been relegated. They were a club literally backed by Man City's ownership group. Oh yeah, and just so happened to have arguably the greatest goalkeeper to ever live standing in net. You know, the legendary world champ Gigi Buffon. Yeah. Maresca lasted 14 matches and was fired soon after losing 4-0 to Lecce. That is embarrassing. Yes, Maresca soaked up knowledge while sitting on Pep's lap, and Chelsea are praying that he's the next Mikel Arteta. But the bloke even looks like Guardiola. It's a shame they're no longer a double act, because they would probably look like the middle-aged bald version of the creepy twins from The Shining Hotel. Well, lads, the thing about Arteta, what's allowed him to become as special as he is now, is because he was given time. Time that would not be afforded to him at most other clubs. And certainly not Chelsea. Lads, his first 18 months at Arsenal were horrendous. He finished 8th 2 years running. I mean, you remember that horrible run of form in late 2020 where the Gunners won 1 of 10 league games? They'd already squeezed in 8 Premier League defeats before Christmas. They were then kicked out of the FA Cup by Southampton. They began the following season being slapped 5-0 by Man City, leaving them bottom of the league on game week 3 with 0 points, having scored 0 and conceded 9. Many fans were screaming for him to leave. I mean, if that sort of form was happening at Chelsea on Todd Bowley's watch, you would be instantly fired. I mean, Arsenal 0, Burnley 1. To this day, I'm still not sure how he survived that game with his job. I don't know whether he bribed a dude with a bin bag full of chocolate muffins for his mum. I don't know, but no way would Chelsea have kept him after that. If Arteta had been sacked then that was his career mortally wounded. Arteta is incredibly lucky to be in this position now where he is a title-challenging manager. Because if he had been sacked then and there, and he could have had no complaints, oh, goodbye to any future top job for at least 10 years. After being laughed out of the Emirates in late 2020, after a year in the job, Arteta would have probably had to pick up the pieces of his career back in Spain, joining a desperate team like Getafe. Arteta is a great coach now, but I promise you, if he was sacked then, people would have said that he was a worse manager than Frank Lampard. I reckon if he was sacked then now, in May 2024, I think right now he'd be manager of Rangers at best. And after Steven Gerrard was exposed for having the managerial skills of a McDonald's cheeseburger, ain't nobody from the Premier League rushing out to Ibrox to appoint Arteta as a manager. Chelsea want Maresca to be Arteta, but they won't allow him the time or patience to become him. They will want Maresca to be Arteta instantly. But you have to go through pain and time to become Arteta. You have to endure some horrible relegation form whilst you learn on the job and try to completely rebuild a broken football club. I mean, the Gunners side that Arteta inherited in 2019 is unrecognizable to what he has now. Christ, well, he was playing Bukayo Saka at left back. This is absolutely going to spoil Maresca's career. Yes, he is a ball-playing, possession-based coach. Great. So was Graham Potter, mate. Know where he is now? Probably sitting at home, rereading the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the 14th time. He's probably been so bored. He's now gone out there and got a tattoo of Elmo on his neck just because he's probably this close to chasing his own wife and kids around the house with an axe. He's currently linked with becoming Brighton boss. Great! The high-profile Chelsea sack has set him back 5 years. He's now exactly where he was in 2019. Yeah, Maresca 5 years ago was making the coffee and putting out the cones for Ascoli in Serie B. Look, apparently a big reason why Chelsea are hiring him is because in his job interview, he really impressed with a PowerPoint presentation outlining just how he was going to correctly get the best out of £100 million star midfielder Fernandes. So, they're hiring Enzo to get the best out of Enzo. Oh, well done. Look, I will not deny that Maresca has shown he's quite a talented coach, but getting Leicester City promoted, big who cares? What, you managed to win a championship title with a former Premier League champion and Golden Boot winner. I mean, that Leicester City squad had a combined 373 senior international caps between them. He had a bunch of players who've competed in the actual Champions League during their careers. Crazy about his star winger, Steffi Mavedizi, has played on the same team as Cristiano Ronaldo. This wasn't like getting Ipswich Town promoted. And don't forget, the final third of the season was complete garbage. 7 defeats in the final 14 league matches. Are you serious? You're in a title run-in, and yet for the final 3 months of the season, you lose 50% of your games? Any team that begins the season with 13 wins for the first 14 games should not be sneaking the title by just a singular point. This man is not ready for Stamford Bridge. Absolutely not. Maresca is going to be absolutely chewed up and spat out on French toast. Chelsea fans are going to warm to him the same way they would like to peel dead maggots off their butternut squash. No way will Bowley have the patience that had learned on the job. He's just Potter in disguise. This is someone who has less than 70 managerial games under his belt and absolutely 0 in the top flight of any division. At least Potter had 3 years in the Swedish top flight and then 3 in the Premier League with Brighton. Maresca has had Serie B and the Championship. That's it. Let me ask you, when was the last time that Chelsea hired such an improving manager? Frank Lampard. 1 season in the Championship. That's it. Before him, Roberto Di Matteo. He'd managed in League One and the Championship with MK Dons and West Brom. Even getting the baggies promoted, playing some tasty, juicy football along the way. Yeah, he was soon sacked by West Brom, and I don't care that he somehow fluked a Champions League win as Chelsea boss. He is still a horrendous manager. Why do you think he's given up on all that and just become a technical director at Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors? That's a football team in South Korea, by the way. It's not a car dealership. I mean, he's not out the front begging midlife crisis dads to buy a car. These are examples of what Chelsea have plucked out of the Championship before. But at least then, they were Stamford Bridge legends as players. With Maresca, you have no excuse. You know what's scary? Maresca and Potter actually played together at West Brom. These guys are probably mates? That scares me if I'm a Chelsea fan. You were actually hiring a friend of Potter's. I feel like Draco Malfoy when he realizes that someone's invited Ron Weasley to his 40th birthday party. He doesn't want to have to pick ginger pubes out of his tea. Oh, Enzo. Parma, Leicester and Chelsea. That just stinks of a Claudio Ranieri CV. I mean, come on, lads. people talk about Mourinho's third season. Okay, then let me ask you, what's Enzo's second season like at a club? Does he burn out by Christmas? What's he like in the cups? Is he a cup manager specialist like Benitez? How does he deal with an injury crisis? How often does he use his plan B? What's he like in his second summer transfer window? Nobody knows the answer to these basic questions because he is so new. And if you don't know the answers, you should not be giving him a Chelsea job based off one season in management. Now here's the serious issue. Am I the only one who is becoming very troubled by the fact that so many top Premier League clubs are taking risks, gambling on these head coaches who might be the next Pep? Back in early 2018, we had powerful names at the top of the Premier League tree. Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Mauricio Pochettino, Jurgen Klopp, Antonio Conte, Arsene Wenger. 12 Champions League final appearances between them. But next season, those same clubs are going to have Pep, sure, but then, what? Eric Ten Hag, Ange Postecoglou, Arne Slot, Enzo Maresca, and Mikel Arteta? After Guardiola, that is 0 Champions League finals between the rest of them. These are men hired from Ajax, Celtic, Feyenoord, Leicester, and the Man City attic. These massive Premier League clubs are now taking gambles, risks. Giant risks. And it's because of Arsenal succeeding with their Arteta gamble when they could have gone for a more proven coach like Carlo Ancelotti instead of letting him scuffle out to Everton. Instead, lads, the Premier League is the biggest, baddest league in the world. Guardiola is the only manager in it who has ever coached in the Champions League final. The only one. When was the last time the Premier League only boasted one Champions League finalist manager? I'll tell you when, 2003, when Fergie was the only one. That is 21 years ago. What is going on? Because when you do hire an unproven manager, you're often going to be stung badly. I mean, Frank de Boer had the same level of hype that those guys have now. Back in 2015, what separated him from the likes of Ten Hag or Slot now? Because he was a possession-based manager who had soaked up 4 Eredivisie titles in a row as manager of Ajax. He's lucky that he did all of that in an era where Premier League clubs didn't take many risks. I mean, Liverpool hiring Brendan Rodgers out of Swansea, that was a gamble, sure, but every other top club, they sort of just played it safe. And so De Boer was then exposed dreadfully after 14 horrible games in charge of Inter Milan and then just 5 at Crystal Palace. And he's now banished into the same graveyard as Beetlejuice. I mean, that man cannot stop getting sacked so early into his tenures. I mean, he crammed in just 15 games as Netherlands boss and then just 14 matches as boss of Al Jazeera. He is a walking sack magnet, but I promise you, if he had been putting off this Ajax madness just 5 years later, he'd probably be the boss of Liverpool or Manchester United right now. These unproven gambles, they really worried me. 10 years ago, Maresca would have been rewarded with a championship title win with a job at Wigan Athletic, not Chelsea. To me, this is probably going to lower the standard of managers in the biggest league in the world. I mean, right now, we are watching a serial winner like Antonio Conte just waddle off to pick up the pieces at a broken Napoli, who just finished 10th in Serie A. And nobody in England is interested because no chairman wants to have to deal with an obtuse manager. They just want a nice little head coach to train the players and leave us to do the signings. I mean, Jose Mourinho is fending off a disrespectful job offer from Besiktas. And all because Premier League clubs want to go hipster and try and discover the next Arteta. Maresca is also showing a complete lack of loyalty to Leicester City, which I find so off-putting. Sorry, they were the ones who gave you a proper chance last summer. And now the Leicester are going to begin next season with an upwards battle. Apparently about to be given a record points deduction. Oh, he just decided to leave after a year. Shame on him. Chelsea are a club who have tried for the real McCoy many times in their life. Guardiola rejected them 6 times in his career. So now you've just gone for the Poundland Pep. It's a bit creepy and not befitting for a club of Chelsea's stature. Look, Maresca's career has already sort of intertwined with Brendan Rodgers. There are so many loose parallels. For one thing, Maresca pretty much replaced him as Leicester's new long-term project manager, and they were both vying for the same Celtic job last summer. I mean, they probably sat beside each other, sharing a packet of Maltesers in the Celtic waiting room. Maresca was once at Manchester City number 2, right? Yeah, Rodgers was offered that exact same job back in 2010. He'd have been assistant to Roberto Mancini. Maresca and Rodgers' careers are linked, and yet Rodgers actually showed more wisdom than Enzo has when he was of a similar age. Back in March 2012, Rodgers had taken Swansea into the Premier League at the age of 39, and then he ruled himself out of becoming the next Chelsea boss, as it would destroy his career. Okay, to be fair, he quit for Liverpool in the summer instead, but he said no to joining the sacking circus at Stamford Bridge, and he meant it. He was right. The Chelsea players did not respect a bloke in his 30s like Andre Villas-Boas, someone who'd also worked with them as a backroom coach. Rodgers, he had done the exact same thing. He'd have also commanded no respect of the likes of Terry and Drogba. He was right. He dodged the Chelsea job because he would have been Graham Pottered or Di Matteo'd early in his career, sacked before the year was out. It was the wrong job entirely, and Maresca, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if only he had the wisdom of Brendan Rodgers. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Let me know. What do you think? Is this a good idea? Is it not? Let me know in the comments. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.